Okay, that part won't be in the video. I think this just really proves that some people should not do maintenance on equipment. Okay, I'm gonna have to move you guys because my forklift is right here. All right, welcome back. You're watching Point 5 Garage. I'm Leon. Thanks for joining me. Today, I am working on a Ventrac 4500Y. That means it is a diesel. The Y signifies diesel. Kubota diesel. 3-point hitch on the back, very uncommon. It's a readily available option, but not too many people will purchase that attachment simply because Ventrac does not make any attachments really that go on the back. So what's the point of having it unless you have other equipment you want to use? It also has 2 sets of auxiliary outputs on the back for the hydraulics. It's got auxiliary hydraulics on the front, and we've got a 72-inch mower deck here as well. All right, I believe it's 72. Let me just double check. Yes, that is considered a 72-inch mower deck, and so got a good deal on it, but there's a few issues. I do need to clean it up a little bit. There's a few things I want to touch up. Somebody took this panel off at some point, and it looks like maybe they stripped out the Allen bolts that were on there and put other bolts in, but it looks like they used a grinder to grind those out. So I'll fix that. The hood has a hinge that's broken. I'll fix that. Got a couple bent fenders, get those straightened out. I do have a few things I want to clean up, some new decals to put on, just get this thing looking tip-top shape before I sell it. So, as you could tell, it's really dirty. Somebody just never worried about cleaning this thing. It needs cleaned. Before I sell it, I'm also going to put all brand new tires on it. See what I mean? We've got some fenders that are bent. Get those fixed up. Like this decal, it just looks cruddy. I want to get a new decal on there. There's another one over on this side. I want to replace this one since it's worn. And yeah, just simple things like that. The hood's got a little bit of a buckle in here. It is, the hinge on this side is broken, so we'll get that fixed. Get this hood open. It has the Kubota D902 in it. So, as you can see, we've got plenty of radiator here. They did upgrade that on these. I think, before I do anything, see how dirty everything is? And underneath here, everything's just dirty. Same thing in here, everything is just dirty. I think the first thing I need to do, yeah, see, we've got dirt everywhere. Somebody, wow, yeah, we need to wash this thing. Before we do anything else, we need to wash it. And so, yeah, it needs a new ignition, because apparently somebody donated an expensive Ford key for the sake of this tractor. Oh, and let's turn that ignition off. Okay, it's getting a lot better. However, I think what I'm going to do now is take this off, and really get in there where all the hydraulic stuff is. Then I'm going to lift the back end up until the front end is pretty much touching the ground. And that way I can really get it clean. So, because of this crack, in order to repair this, I need to take this off. Got these bolts, and on the other side got the same thing. Then I can straighten this all out, repair it, repaint it, and we'll get it back on here. There's just a couple spots where I can now get in to pressure wash that I couldn't get to before, get a few different angles. So I'm going to roll it back into the wash bay, do a little more pressure washing. All right, guys, so with everything being wet, I think what I want to do is get everything drying. Now I'm going to, while my fan is going over here and my heater is going back there, I am going to go ahead and work on this hood. We've got a couple little things that need to be straightened out. Need to take this off so I can straighten everything else out. So I'm going to go ahead and take care of the hood, stuff like that, while everything dries out again. And then we'll get to working on the engine as far as getting it started. But while these fans and heater are being loud, I'm going to do stuff that's going to be kind of fast forward mode. So let's get to work on this hood. Look at this. It's just caked full of grass and dirt. Whoever had this previously just did not do maintenance as far as cleaning it. It looks like they did maintenance as far as maintaining it, oil changes, stuff like that, but cleaning it, they didn't seem to care. Got it all nice and clean, so now we're ready to try and get it started. So let's see what's going on. I do get a click, but my starter's not going. So, you know what, just to see if it'll start, let me just take a flat screwdriver and jump that starter. Get the glow plugs to go. Hey, that works. Okay, let's see if we can crank it. Wow. Okay, so that popped right off. I'm impressed. I'm guessing with all of the on and off with the key, I had the glow plugs kicking in quite a bit right before I tried to start it. But let's throttle it up. Oh boy. The throttle cable is disconnected. Looks like it's broken off in there. Let me throttle it up right here. Oh wow. Oh, wow. That's me throttling it up. What the heck? Wow. That's smoking like it's not getting air. I think we have an issue with airflow. I didn't even check this air filter yet. Oh, it doesn't look that dirty. Huh, look at this, guys. Look at this. This air filter is, you look in there, it tucks back into there. But look at this. Look at this other end. Completely closed off. So, essentially what they were doing, that end, well, come here. That end right there was going right in there and plugging that hole. not supposed to have that end going in. You're supposed to have that end going in. So they had everything plugged off. This shouldn't make a major difference, but I'm wondering if the previous owner got rid of it because it was smoking. And it went on I got it on an online auction, and I wonder if maybe people that were actually at the auction tried to start it, couldn't throttle it up, and then it smoked like crazy. Now, let's see, let me get that screwdriver. Let's try this again. I still have it on full throttle. So, let's try this again. Up. Drop my checkbook on the floor. Look at that. We're not smoking. As simple as the air filter was just in the wrong way. That's crazy. Okay, now we got to figure out why the key won't start it. So let's do a little investigating. Battery's about dead. All it ended up being is my brake switch was just, it had a piece of dirt behind it that blocked it from being able to release and let it know that the parking brake is on. So now let's try it. Wow. Purrs like a kitten. Okay, so that all runs really good. I'm gonna need to get, decals here and these decals up here. I need this decal. I need a bunch of decals. And I need to get some paint that matches the dove gray and the red that they use, because my grill I need to repaint. My hood, I believe I'm going to repaint. I think so. I think it needs to be repainted. So I'll repaint the hood. I need to take these fenders off and fix these because they obviously ran into something there. Ran into something here. And, oh, golly Neds, we've got an oil leak. We're going to have to figure out where that oil leak's coming from. That's hydraulic fluid. Huh. From up that hose. Somewhere. Hey, we got oil there too. So, it could be from that. Well, we're going to have to investigate that because it's a pretty good oil leak. Interesting. Okay, well, I'll have to figure that out. So I think what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go to Mass Lepley. I'm gonna get everything I need to service the engine, service the hydraulic system. If you haven't seen my previous videos where I talk about Mass Lepley, you know, because I've been there for stuff for the 230 that I've done work on. The 430s, I'm gonna be there for a lot of parts for the 430s. Mass Lepley is one of the very first Steiner dealers in the world. They were, yeah, they've been a Steiner dealer since forever. And when the Steiner boys sold Steiner and later started Ventrac, Mass Lepley immediately became a Ventrac dealer as well. So they've been a Ventrac dealer since Ventrac was invented. And before that, they were Steiner dealer, one of the very first ones. So if you need Steiner parts, and I'll put their information right here on the screen. If you need Steiner parts of any kind, these guys will mail them to you. I've got family out of state and that have Steiners and Ventracs, and when they need parts, they get a hold of Mass Lepley. Mass Lepley ships the parts they need to them, and it's so easy, so easy. And they're not just Steiner and Ventrac. I think they're Ferris and Bobcat now switched Steiner. Well, they've owned Steiner for a long time, but they now quit making the Steiner, what they're calling sunsetting Steiner brand. So there will be no new Steiners made. Everything from here on out that's built will have the Bobcat brand, which to me, I think it's such a shame. Steiner was such a good brand. They're known. I get it. Bobcat is a bigger brand, but man, it's a shame to just close down a brand like Steiner. Bobcat has videos out there saying, oh, we're the Ventrac killer. You know, we're better than Ventrac and this or that. And yet they don't even offer a mower deck anymore. So I think Ventrac right now is a Bobcat killer. But anyways, Ventrac has always been superior anyways, invented by the same guys who invented the Steiner tractor. But it's just more refined. It's got better features. Driving this is way more comfortable than driving a Steiner. I just can't afford to have one of these for myself yet. The only downfall I have to these versus a Steiner is when you're sitting on here and you're wanting to put an attachment on, you have to lean over way more to attach that attachment to see where your lift mechanism is. Whereas on the Steiner, you just barely go like this and you can see. Now, that being said, that is only when you're hooking up an attachment. And to me, that is a minor thing. For the convenience you have, you're sitting here, right here. This is all your controls. You've got forward, you've got reverse, you've got raise your attachment, lower your attachment, you've got float. And then your auxiliaries, right here, this lever, it travels with your forward and reverse lever. Hit it with the heel of your hand to, for example, on your snow blade, angle it one way, angle it the other way, your slip scoop, dump it, tilt it back up, lower the scoop, raise the scoop. It's all right in there. These controls over here are your auxiliaries and your 3-point on the back. I personally, the Ventrac's just superior. So for Bobcat to say, oh, we're the Ventrac killer, you're being killed by Ventrac right now, I think. And not saying that Steiner is not a good machine. I love Steiners. It's an amazing machine, but Ventrac is a superior machine. So anyways, I'm gonna go off to Mass Lepley. They're a dealer for Steiner and Ventrac, or I should say Bobcat and Ventrac. You have any parts needs, any service needs, they've got guys there that have been working on Steiners since Steiners were first invented. And so they know what they're doing. Give them a call. I'm back. So, unfortunately, they did not have all of the decals I need. Nobody ever replaces all the decals, but I want to make this machine look great. I got what they had in stock, got my oil filters, my hydraulic filters, all that good stuff. And so we are ready to do some work here. And let me show you. I was able to get paint that matches the Ventrac red and the Ventrac gray. Oh, and since our ignition was all screwed up because, you know, somebody lost a key and decided to use a good old Ford key. I don't know who donated that to the cause, but I got a new one along with 2 keys. All it takes is there's one plug on the back, and then these just squeeze in, and then it should pull out. So let's see if we can get that thing out of there. And I got myself a Pepsi while I was at it. There. Wow, that thing's a pain in the butt to get out. Okay, now there. Beautiful, beautiful. All right, another issue we have is right here. This thing right here is supposed to be like a pivot point for that, and that thing is just all beat up. So I'm gonna take this thing off. Oh boy, look at this, guys. Right there, the grease zert is broken off of that. So we're gonna have to take an easy out, get that grease zert out of there, and put a new one in. That is rather important. So we need to make sure we do that as well. Okay, now whoever was doing the maintenance on this thing in the past did a terrible job. The exciter for the alternator wasn't working. So they went right off the battery, or the battery cable that goes from the battery to the starter. They went right off the starter and plugged into there, and then they had a big, huge battery cable, and then they'd twist this together whenever they wanted to use it, just 2 bare wires. So that way they'd have power to the exciter to tell the alternator to charge. So I want to fix that. I can't have that. That's not a good way. That's not the proper way. We need to figure out why this doesn't have power. So I guess we'll go over and we'll check fuses and see if we have any fuses, because none of them are labeled as alternator, but we'll check to see if we have any fuses that are bad at the moment. So let's check that out. Okay, so I've got a constant ground here, and if I pull a fuse out, the right side has power, left side does not. So that means the feed on these fuses is coming in on the right hand side. All I have to do is check the left hand side. Okay, so with the ignition on, I should have power. There, that one. And it's a blown fuse. Now, let's go test and see if we have power on the alternator exciter. Awesome. So now we've got power on the alternator exciter here, and that just blows my mind. So there was a fuse that was blown, and instead of tracking down the fuse, they went ahead and ran a wire from here to here that they had to then twist together instead of just tracking down the problem. And so they put a new fuel pump in, and they put a good quality fuel pump in. However, what they did do as well is, it looks like maybe they didn't have power on the original wires for the fuel pump, or something. I'm not sure. But they went ahead and they wired it to the battery for the fuel pump. So what I need to do is see if by any chance we have power here and the new fuel pump didn't have the plug, or, you know, what the heck were they doing? I'm not sure. So let's see if we have power there. Does look like we're not getting power there. So, we have a fuse panel right here, but in order to see what everything is, we have to look over here under the hood. Fuel pump is number 10. And it's supposed, oh, sorry. Fuel pump is a 10 amp fuse and it's number 5. So, and we've got a good fuse. So I'm going to check and see if I have power on the fuse. With the key on, I've got power there, but I don't have it down there. So, goes into that main loom. Then, oh boy, I wonder what this relay is for. Wait a minute. I wonder, you know what? This relay, I don't recall a relay being in the top slot on these. It's usually the second slot down. So that would be right. It's clicking. Yeah, they had it up here. This belongs on the second slot down. I wonder if that's the fuel pump. That's the fuel pump. Are you kidding me? This must have been some shade tree mechanic they had working on this thing. Literally, the relay was in the wrong slot. So instead of figuring out why there's no power on the circuit for the fuel pump, they chose to hardwire it and have 2 wires. Look at this. Let me just show you here. Instead of having these wires, figuring out why this plug doesn't have power, they chose to run wires up off the battery, and instead of even putting a switch in, they just twisted these together to get the fuel pump to go. And then when they were done, they'd untwist them, and these wires are just dangling here. Okay, so now let's wire this plug onto the fuel pump. Turn the key on, and fuel pump is working. Look at that. Oh my gosh, I am amazed. Only thing that was keeping that fuel pump from working is somebody put the relay in the wrong spot. So they may have changed the factory fuel pump out simply because they had the relay out at some point, put it in the wrong spot, and then when they got a new one, they still didn't have power to it. So they just hardwired it. That is a terrible, terrible maintenance guy. Wow. Absolutely horrible. Okay, I'm gonna get a zip tie. Zip tie those wires so they don't flop everywhere. By zip tying these wires out of the way, they for sure won't get into the linkage here for forward reverse or hydrostatic linkage. Okay guys, I think this just really proves that some people should not do maintenance on equipment because they hardwired a fuel pump instead of figuring out why there's no power coming there. They hardwired the alternator exciter wire because they didn't figure out why there's no power coming there, and it was a blown fuse. The fuel filter, or the air filter, they had it in backwards so it couldn't breathe, and it was smoking up the shop. Man, I'm really thinking that's why this thing went for a good deal on auction. Wow. Oh my gosh, look at this, guys. One of those, look at this. You see this light right here? That is my glow plug light. You see how long it's staying on? It's actually running the glow plugs. Let me pull this relay. Nope, glow plugs are still staying in long. Hold on. Let me pull this 5 amp fuse. Now, you see that? This is the fuse that was blown. See the glow plugs? Boom, for like a second. But when I put this fuse back in, and now try the glow plugs, the light stays on. And it actually times out. So in other words, because they didn't track down a blown fuse and instead hardwired the exciter for the alternator, their glow plugs weren't working. So, and it started hard before. And I knew figuring out why the glow plugs aren't going as long as timing out the way they should is going to be something I'm going to have to figure out. So, I'm wondering, you know, if somebody finally did get it started at the auction and tried to rev it, first of all, the linkage for the throttle is broken, but if they throttled it up here manually, it would smoke like crazy because the air filter was in backwards. The glow plugs didn't work. The ignition had a Ford key jammed in it and twisted. There was a blown fuse and a relay in the wrong spot. So no fuel pump, wires hanging out, and yeah, might be a reason this thing didn't go for much at the auction. Okay, so this is kind of funny. This sticker was on the dash when I got this tractor, and I'm really thinking that the mechanic at whatever company had this went full send on the dirter part because, wow. Came out of an auction in Massachusetts, so if you're in Massachusetts and you work for a company that had a Ventrac with this sticker on the dash, let me know what the rest of your equipment looks like. I'm really curious what kind of mechanic you had. So the cable they had going from here to here was way heavier than it needs to be, which is fine. I'll use that cable, but I need to cut it shorter. They had it way long and crimp a new end on it. So let me get that cable and then we'll get it on here. Let's get this back here out of the way. If I take that from there to there, so that is a piece of copper pipe that I will now take on the grinder and just round it off a little bit more. All right, I just got back from Tractor Supply. We've got our throttle cable here, and this throttle cable is in perfect condition, except the internal wire was broken at the one end. So rather than spend, you know, over $100 for a throttle cable, I went to Tractor Supply and I bought they call it a choke cable, but it does say pull to stop. And what I'll do is I will go like this, pull the insides out of this thing, and push that into this. And now we can use that and have a long enough wire on the inside to just rebuild the existing throttle cable. I'll bend a little hickey in here, and that's what will attach this. I need to get my needle nose and bend that. So we're gonna go like so, and then like so. Now, oh, I wasn't in front of the camera. So I bent that. So that little zigzag in there will hook into my throttle lever. There we go. Cool thing is, this is actually long enough that it can still be used for other applications. Shove this back inside here, and I'll keep that for some other application. All right, guys, so my battery died. Dummy me, forgetting to hit record after I changed the battery. I didn't catch that part, but all I did was fasten it here and here, so now when I hit the throttle, it goes. Let's try it. Okay, glow plugs on, and start. Perfect. So, the issue I'm having is my neutral is not very neutral right now. So, I have to adjust my neutral. It's got a spring that brings everything into neutral, but the position of the arm that connects to the slosh plate in the pump is not in the neutral position. All right, got it dead on. Okay, let's test to see if this microphone still works now. Looks like it does. I put it through the washer for the 3rd time last night. And it's not even supposed to be waterproof, but 3 times through the washer, guys. That's pretty amazing. It's like a cat. It's got like 9 lives or something. I don't know. But still working after 3 times. There. Okay, so tomorrow is Christmas Eve. And I have to go in and finish wrapping the gifts. I made some gifts. My daughter-in-laws were all like, hey, you know, you make all these signs for customers. And so they all chose a sign they wanted. And so for Christmas, even though they know what they're getting, I'm still gonna wrap them. This is for one of them. This is for another one of my daughter-in-laws. This is for another one. And then this is the last one. I got 4 daughter-in-laws, so they're all getting a sign. So anyways, I gotta take those in and wrap them. And we're having Christmas tomorrow, so it's gonna be it for today. All right, so here, I am taking this fender off so I can get it into my shop press. And I put a piece of wood underneath to begin with to prevent the press from marring the front surface of that fender. Once I've got most of the bend out, I can go metal on metal and not have an issue. So I press everything out, all the little flaws, dents, and everything come out perfectly. Buffing the frame helps me get it nice and clean, and if I do it before I have the fender on, it's so much easier. So then I buff the fender, and then I go to my office and I scan the fender into my software for my laser so that I can use my laser to cut out these pads that go on the fenders. It's like a grip pad, but make sure you put no step on there so people don't think they can step on that. Then it's to the rear fender after I get these stickers on, and do the same thing with the rear fender. Take it off and take it into the shop press and press it flat. And I already, off camera, got 3 of the brand new tires on. Got 1 more here that needs to go on, but I need to get that hydraulic hose on before I put this on. So let's finagle this thing through here. You get a flashlight. This hose is a royal pain to get in, but getting it in the right place so that it doesn't rub on anything is extremely important. The one end of the hose is under the dash on the steering gearbox here, and I had to remove all the components in front of it so I could get to it. But yeah, I wish I could have got the camera in there to show you, but I could barely get my hands in there, let alone a camera. There. Now I need to get this one off. For this hole, I got the cap. Those always blow out when people drive down the road. So we're gonna actually add some adhesive on the backside here. So, a little dab there, a little dab there. We'll spread this out a little bit. These are just a loose enough fit, the way they have it, that air from driving down the road will make these pop out. So, these are almost always missing on used machines. Okay, now when that glue sets, that will be stuck, and it can still be removed if needed. All right, guys, my battery ran out and I didn't catch it. I actually put the new tachometer in. On the old one, the hour meter was not functioning properly. It had some bars in the display that were not showing, and neither was the temperature gauge. So I replaced this. We know how many hours it had on here, so this will now start at 0. There we are. Now we have some new decals to put on. All right, guys, so finally finished up the Ventrac. I didn't get some of the pieces, adding the hydraulic fluid, stuff like that. I didn't get that on video, but I do have everything done. The mower deck is done, ready. So let's just go over this. I'll show you what we did. The mower deck, I didn't get any of that on video. It's very simple, just basically cleaning it. We've got new LED headlights. We've got the grille repainted. We've got the hood repaired and repainted. We've got new tires, new decals all around. Even over here, new decals. We've got a new dash, a new PTO switch, a new ignition. Hydraulic system has been flushed and serviced. We fixed the hydraulic leaks that it had. It's got the 3-point hitch. The roll bar was repainted, and we added a foot pedal that it did not have. The Kubota D902 engine runs like a top. Everything's serviced, oil changed, all that good stuff. It has been quite a project. Took a lot of work, a lot of little details that needed to be taken care of, but we got it done, and it is now ready to be sold. So if you know anybody who's looking for one, tell them to get a hold of me. I've got this machine available. If you have any questions on how capable this machine is, go over to Diesel Creek and watch his video on the 4500Y that he has. He got one, I think it was a year or two ago, and he shows what it can do. He's got a rough cut deck and everything. These machines are incredible. This is an amazing machine, and look at that. Look what it's got waiting for me. You didn't think I could make a video without Pepsi being involved in some way, did you? All right, guys, so that's it for this Ventrac 4500Y adventure, and hopefully you enjoyed it. I know I did, and I'm glad you guys came along. If you like this content, which I'm assuming if you're here now, watching this part, you like the video, or you wouldn't still be watching. So please hit that subscribe button down there. Help me out, hit that button, help the channel grow, and yeah, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. And meantime, check out these other videos I have for you.